Hey there, Ddraig back with a look at an Overhaul mod, namely Yuki's Overhaul by Yuki Spade. This mod is one back in the day that I did not realise how much had changed. I thought it was mainly a skill tree overhaul, but it is so much more than that. The mod changes a lot of campaign as well as the battle mechanics themselves, with rebalancing of damage, health, making slow battles and better defined rules. In this video I'm going to focus on the latest update as a starting point to show off the mod. Month or two back, Yuki created an overhaul of the greenskins, so I'm going to do a unit guide here and then do a companion guide in another video, trying to cover all the changes there. So first of all, before I show off some of the new units, I'm going to compare the vanilla units to show changes Yuki has made. This way you have a frame of reference on the familiar units before we look at the new ones. So on the left is Yuki's version of Grimroar, and the vanilla stats as of July 2019 for vanilla experience on the right. Now the obvious big change is health pool and damage. To get to Yuki's vision of Warhammer 2, he wants the fights to last longer and have a unit specific roles. For your Orcs, they have of course to combat monsters like Grimroar here, but have been rebalanced from the ground up. Having 750 AP damage, he obviously hits very hard, and as a comparison, Carl Franz in this mod is set to 1100 damage. So not to up his beastly damage of Grimroar here. Where Korek from the Warriors of Chaos has 1700 damage. So as you can see, the more combat oriented Orcs will be more impactful. Okay, let's see how the units compare of the greenskins. The Orc Our Boys is our next example. Again, we have a huge health difference and an extra 30 models. In this mod, a lot of the unit sizes are different, much like SFO. So each model is buffed up health wise. Where the model in vanilla is 77 hit points per model, in this mod it changes it to 225. So this query will make a fight last longer, just due to the health pool and damage changes. Speaking of damage, as you can see, they do more damage per shot, and there is a small tweaks across the board and much more ammo, which is standard for these type of units across the armies. You'll notice a one page on the Orcs as well, and I'll come back to that when we delve more into the roster. So to give you an overall feel of the mod, I'm going to give you a few more examples of vanilla and Yuki's version. Here are the Ball Boys, 80 strong units with small changes to stats. Still not an elite cav, but are faster and still pack a punch on the charge. Our next example is Black Orcs, and are even tougher. Same model count but a huge health pool with anti-infantry bonus of 10 and more substantial charge, making them a bit more tougher, damaging units than vanilla. Bit of artillery now with the infamous Doom Diver catapult, packing a much bigger punch and even greater range. Not a big ammo pool though, which is unlike the Owl Boys who can shower the enemy with arrows. Doom Divers are more precise and of course expendable. That red icon you can see, by the way, is something I'll bring up later. Lastly, we have everyone's favourite Spider. This one has a fair few changes. Where it is more of an anti-infantry fighter with a bonus of 20, a surprisingly huge range of 180, and a new debuff which again we'll delve into in the new roster. A very scary monster which is really tough to bring down. Okay, now you got a feel and a reference for the unit changes. Let's start looking at the new units Yuki has brought to the roster. So let's start off with some new Yords. First up, Forest Goblin Warboss. A weakish combat Yord, being only a goblin but can do a little bit of damage and is reasonably quick at 40. Make him quicker than human, which are 36. He's the cheapest of Yords that can do some damage and bring his spider venom, dropping resistance by 15%, making him very useful in conjunction with another Yord or a hero. Combat wise, he has a bonus versus charge of 10, so nothing spectacular, but every hero helps and a bit less than 50% AP damage at 400. He can be mounted on a spider or a Ragnarok spider, making him a bit more interesting, but that costs 1550 points in custom battle. Abilities wise, he has Get Back Here. As mentioned before, a lot of units in the Greenskins roster have Rampage, namely the Orcs. This is due in tabletop. Orcs would get, well, Orky and chase after anything nearby, and this ability will stop that Rampage in its tracks and give them a small boost to leadership. With only 2 users per Yord, heroes can also have this ability, making them vital to hold their ranks together, so keep a close eye on Orc units is a must. The traditional Warg ability, but only 100 meters around the character, but it's still highly effective at boosting the units. Plus 30 melee attack is a huge buff, and the standard unit abilities have all been changed. Lastly, we have an explosive squig, which you can kind of guess what happens here. A one-off suicidal squig, much like a bloated corpse for Vampire Coast. One it's in and boom. Need a bit more meat for your Yord to have a Savage Orc War Boss. Naturally much better in attack and has Frenzy to boost damage and also Foe Seeker. Boosting the Warg ability, but not the Rampage ability to control his fellow Orcs. Also has numerous weapon loadouts of a bow with 1000 damage, an anti-arch bonus of 20, or this type with an anti-infantry bonus of 20. If that's not enough, you can go on a bow or a wyvern. Also, one more option is a unique mount choice for Yuki's Overhaul. He can put it to a bodyguard unit of 4 other Savage Orcs, making their own mini unit to give more protection to your Yord. Still is powerful, but not as a brute one hit force with 5 models hitting each for 300. With a good BA attack percentage, it is certainly an intriguing option for this Yord. This is a really cool and interesting part of this mod, and hopefully, as Yuki develops more factions, he can implement something similar to them. For the other Yords, the Night Goblin Warboss can come on a squig or another bodyguard unit, with him safe at the back of the group, and also has some really nice damage output coming from his bodyguard. The Orc Warboss has the same choices as a Savage Orc Warboss, but this has a bodyguard unit, noticing the gold shields, and is a very tough Yord to crack in this single unit. Rounding off the Yords, you can take an Orc Shaman. Shown here is the Savage Orc Shaman. Both do the same task, but Query the Savage Orc can hit more often, but at a cost of melee defense and armour. The Shamans can bring the Orcs back into the line when they get back here, and as a standard magic kit. Remember, Yuki has an overhauled the magic and is very impactful across the Orc to cast. I will show off the Edge Yord changes when I take a look at the campaign, as I want to deal with new units in this breakdown. Hero options now, and we have an Orc Big Boss. A sturdy combat hero, with a bigger health pool than a Forest Goblin Yord. A bit more power on weapon strength, so adding another plus 10% to EP and strength melee attack as well, making him very potent in battle. 50 armour and 15% missile resistance, and of course a huge health pool, making this cheap hero very handy in a fight. Can also use the Get Back Here ability, so it can give you another 2 uses as well as your Yords. So handy, because this guy you always want in the front of the fight, but has no mount options. Of course you can have a Savage Orc variant, which has always no armour, but just makes up with being more savage and combat effectiveness. But remember to watch out for those missiles, even though he does bring that 15% missile resistance due to the war paint. Also has the same abilities as the Orc Boss. If you want to take out a member's hero, and in some cases yours, take the Black Orc Big Boss. Huge armour and that gold shield. Very strong and very tough unit, and can deal out with damage as well. No ability to stop Rampage, so we get this unit in the thick of the fight, and will carve through a lot of Yords on his own, and an excellent partner for more of a caster Yord. Bringing on protection duty, or more aggressive, picking off key units. No anti-arch or anti-infantry buff though. Moving on to the new units in the main roster. First up, we have the Goblin Stammers. Pretty much the Goblin Spears, but with stabbers instead. An expendable tar pit unit, and you stand at 150 cost. They do what they do best, get in the way. Next, we have an even better unit at getting in the way, Snotlings. Terrible stats, even when they use the whip ability. They will run as soon as possible, and at the same cost, 150, but there is 300 of these little beggars. So yeah, if you really want to slow down the units, and then countercharge with something better, this unit can do a job. And with some encouraged units, just to boost that leadership, or even some magic, can hold a bit in the right circumstance. As well as the Yord Forest Goblin, you can also take some new units, in the shape of Forest Goblin Stickers. At 350, they're better than Goblins, and even an anti-arch bonus of 15, which is pretty high. With a 200 unit strength and shield, and can put a poison debuff on the unit they are attacking, this can be quite helpful in a fight. The red rock icon means these units and all Funit units are restricted. In custom battle, not a huge deal, but on campaigns, you have to be more careful management of buildings to get these units. So more on that in the campaign video. It also comes in Forest Goblin Stammers, similar to the previous unit, but without that anti-arch. can do some bit of work in combat, and remember, these are not expendable, so take that into account. Night Goblin stickers are just your standard Night Goblins with spears. Much more expensive at 400 points than 250 for the stabbers. Bringing that bonus to the charge of 15, and with that standard poison debuff, allowing you to stack some interesting debuffs on their position. Having some armour at 15, they can take a bit more beating, but the Forest Goblins have a lot better stats across the board. First of the Orcs are the cheapest with this unit of Orc stickers. Your standard Orcs with spears. As you can see, these rampage as all the standard Orcs do, so keep those Yords and Heroes close to keep them in line. Tough but nothing exceptional, and are cheap at 450, 50 cheaper than the usual Orcs. A nice 25 anti-charge bonus as well, and silver shields make them a nice upgrade on your standard Goblins, and of course hit a bit harder. Savage Orcs with a little bit of defense and shield, so they can actually absorb some damage, especially with their resistances. Not as damage dealing as your standard Savage Orcs, who deal 48 damage attacks. These do provide the anti-charge bonus of 25, and will kill more but will suffer heavy losses as Savage Orcs do. If they can avoid those charges, these are a great counter-attack unit against cavalry. Goblins, which are armoured and shielded, the Hill Goblins coming at 600 for either this unit of stabbers or the stickers. This unit is surprisingly effective, well for Goblins, and can put out some damage. Not as much as an Orc, but with silver shields and that armour, so at 600 not a unit to just push aside. The stabbers come with bonus versus infantry of 10, so this is pretty good at holding a side down, and with careful placement and support can give your unit a surprisingly good run for their money. This unit of Savage Orcs have found some very large axes, making them 50 more points than 800 for the usual Savage Orc biggins. For 50 points you get a yacht, plus 10 stats in melee attack and damage, and small buffs to defense and charge. They also bring more AP to the battlefield, with 60 AP over 20 for standard Savage Orc biggins. So well worth that extra 50 points to bring the extra combat bonuses. Also, the biggins do not rampage, so you can have them a bit further away from your Lords and Heroes. A standard unit of Blackhawks now. While at 1000 points, they are half the price of the Blackhawks with great weapons, who provide plus 20 charge and damage. These Orcs have gold shields that can really stop the enemy in the tracks, who are doing good damage across the board. 40 AP, so armour won't slow them down too much. They are a rock of a unit, and at 1000 points, a bargain. A new elite unit choice now, the famous Dirt Immortals, the bodyguard of Grimgor and some serious Black Orcs. 66 AP plus 15 anti-infantry, bringing fear and terror because of what they represent. Grimgor only has the bestest and the biggest of the Orcs in his bodyguard unit, providing the Guardian aura as well, so 30% physical resistance to any hero or Yord nearby, making them the bodyguard unit. Also, if you have Grimgor and don't have these in your army, you're playing the game wrong. Some missile units now, and the Forest Goblin Archers. They are just bringing the Spider Venom to their ranged missiles, and very handy to soften up the enemy physical resistance before you launch your charge. Indeed, with the Vanguard option, you can deploy them up to the side and shoot into the backs of the enemy, but are very weak in combat. Want more damage from your missiles? Bring these along. The Savage Orc Big Gun Owl Boys are very expensive at 800, acquire 300 points more than your standard set Orcs Owl Boys. Increases across the board, but with 20S models, but they have 20 more range, and almost double the missile damage, and of course all the melee buffs that come with being big guns. Also provides Shield Breaker, which is such a good ability on any arch unit, removing 25 from missile power, allowing you to gang up on key units with other missile units. One unit is enough to really make a difference, or when getting down elite infantry. If it always fails, just roll them into the fight as they can cause a lot of damage. Another new elite unit, Bullcaps Bolters. Heavy armoured, especially with goblins and squigs. Still keeping their speed bonus, and they got infantry of 15, and their poison. With 4 as well to add more DPS, this is a very good cav. It can really hold its own against a medium tier cav up to high tier, with a magic or supporting unit. Expensive at 1050, they are still an interesting pick, which will go well in with most armies. We'll need a bit more punch to the front lines or chasing down other units. At 1000 points, Stone Trolls bring more armour than your standard Trolls, over 60 more. And of course they still have that regen. They are considerably slower at only 30 speed, where your standard Trolls are 54. So you only go against infantry, and keep them close because of their lack of mobility. They are a serious tough unit to get rid of, just keep that leadership high, and there are some encouraging units nearby will certainly help. They also have an extended regeneration, which has 2 uses, but as you can see, only outside of combat, and with their slow speed this is quite a problem, but gives them another option above standard trolls. Of course trolls are stupid, and can freeze for a few seconds, so be aware, but get them into battle and they will cause a lot of trouble. Now to a really big one. The Colossal Squig at 1000 points is a huge problem for the opposition, with its vanguard and crazy stats. This unit is literally wrecking ball. Quick, bonus versus yard of 10 and a good melee attack. This is a real problem for any enemy, with fear and terror as well, and you're just looking at like a gigantic chariot. Just hope it can dodge those cannonballs. If you're worried, get this armoured Squig version for an extra 200 points with a whopping 110 armour. How you get this armour on said beastie I am not so sure, but I'm pretty sure some goblins have lost their eyes for this noble idea. Not as quick, but still very mobile, and they can take much missile fire much easier. They will rampage though, and can be led away from the army, and possibilities of getting them back, so you have to have a mobile yard to keep control of it. If you can control it, just punch it at the enemy and let it do what it does best, eating things. A very cheap weapon, the Spear Chucker, is only 450 points. This gives you a real anti-arch threat, with a bonus of 500. Not deadly against infantry, but can put a dent into any Arge units. The Feral Wyvern is a nice flying beastie, so at least Azag doesn't have all the fun. At 1080 points, this unit can have a place, but caution is needed if facing any other faction of the large flying units, such as the High Elves, because it's not beating dragons. Good damage, poison, and silly quick, this unit can be on the hand whenever you need it. If you don't feel an air force, this unit can certainly have a place in your army. This unit is viable but can rampage, so keep a close eye on it, because it can be drawn away easy with that speed. Useful for capturing those pesky skirmishers cav or missile units. There are still the new units, and this is a Yeet unit, is Ddraig, a savage giant. Very powerful with huge damage and can make mincemeat of any hero or yard. Be careful that your armour though, at only 25. For this target of this size means you can't really miss it. So any strong missile faction can tear this thing apart. At 40 speed you can't even get away, or even dodge anything, so make sure you control the battlefield with fast units to pick off those opposition missile units. But against the vampire counts, you have a ton of fun with this beast. This brings the end to the video about the new units of Yuki's Overhaul. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in my next video.